Mike Gill and Crash,
Hi, Mike.
and Crash, and a tale of two lies. Now, they're all lying to us, but the principal lies, let's dissect them. Let's translate the bullshit. All right? Now, think about this. What have we said? The paths of the DOJ, and it has to be surgical. I'm telling you, with me and all of what we're going to say, it's like telling time. It's that easy for me, and it's that obvious, right? We've got Epstein and Maxwell. We got the insurrection. Those are the two paths. Now, they're lying on each, but it's the path that they're taking with the DOJ. And it's the paths that Trump's defending. Okay, so let's go through and see watch this movement. Again, remember, movement. These past podcasts is bringing you current to what's going on, showing you what they're doing. Now, all right, now let's think about this. Let's go to Epstein, okay? What did Epstein give us? Epstein gave us Larry Summers, who immediately leaves public life. You know who Larry Summers was? The Secretary of the Treasury. You understand this? The Secretary of the Treasury was working with Epstein. Now, do you think this is just a club for pedophiles?
No.
Or do you think we don't know if they're all pedophiles? We don't know if Summers a pedophile, but we know that Epstein is a money launderer. There's nothing more that weighs more in blackmail than the money you stole. What do they say? Numbers don't lie? Remember that. We're going to go back to that. Numbers don't lie. They turn around and incriminated the Secretary of the Treasury with Epstein. So in other words, there is the name. This is how big this is. Now, maybe just a flash, and we're going to have this flash of the Department of Justice evidence sheets. So hit the second page. If you look at the second page of that evidence sheet, you know who's on that? The Treasury Inspector General of the United States, Kitka, who covered up the corruption of the IRS. There it is. So we have the Treasury Secretary and the Treasury Inspector General at the very top. You can't steal trillions without these pinheads. That's what Epstein was all on. That. Okay, so let's go back now. So now you understand the level of this. At the highest levels of what audits the IRS. What was on the 50 million? Kitka's offered me settlement. IRS also was on the evidence to the Department of Justice and Prosecutor Lullen.
Mike, okay, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Because I don't know if you're on a roll here, but Larry Summers, I'm out of the loop right now because I haven't been feeling well. But who right now? What is Larry Summers' role? Why is he being brought up?
Well, he was like a public speaker. He was a professor at Harvard. So from now on, he's not talking.
Okay. So,
but he was the Treasury Secretary.
Is
right?
He involved?
So understand that's the highest level in this country. Inspector General, Secretary of the Treasury. Okay? We got them both.
Okay.
Both tied to Epstein, both involved in money laundering. Epstein and Maxwell, money laundering. Where did Maxwell get arrested? In New Hampshire. What was she doing? Leveraging them with their money. Who represented her? Bill Shaheen. On the 50, who's married to the senator who's going to vote to open the Epstein files or not.
He did vote.
How's that one? So in other words, and before we even get further on that, let's hit Tucker Carlson again. Okay? So now that you understand that Epstein involves the Treasury Secretary, the evidence I have, the Treasury Inspector General, it's all money laundering. Now, what does our boy, Tucker, he's back again. Remember last week? The whole Senate and the Congress is corrupted and leveraged. Well, he goes on again this week. The real reason Pam Bondi won't release the Epstein files is the current DOJ under Bondi is covering up crimes, very serious crimes. Intel services that at the very center of this story, United States and Israel are being protected. There have been multiple documented cases of pedophiles inside the CIA, penetrated by CIA officers. Now let's think about this. Who sent the CIA? Who sent the Mossad? Defense Intelligence? The Department of Justice. The name of the game is, if I can put you in jail, I'm at the top of the totem pole. That's the DOJ. Who sent the CIA to me? You see all these podcasters? They're CIA and Flynn. Who was before Flynn? Oh, I don't know. How about James O'Keefe and Aaron Day of the Mossad? I've been dealing with these bastards right along. What evidence did I find was the money laundering network that the Pandora Papers dropped $935 billion in. Now, you know where a lot of that money went? Back into the Senate. You know, Bill Shaheen was the architect. His wife was a senator. So's Hassan. So are these rest. It's the dark money. It's the untraceable money that get these bastards paid. So there's the money pipeline. Remember I said this could get them all. What did Stacy Burke say? She said that was my evidence that Trump turned around and got that incriminated the Senate and the Congress that didn't use. Why? Because he was in the same Pandora's box. And his partnership with Penn National, money laundering, race fixing, sports fixing, which is hitting the fan as we speak.
Right.
There's the principle. And Trump's relationship with Epstein was money laundering, not just being a predator. He's a money launderer. What do we know about Trump? He didn't pay taxes. Well, that's a good way of not paying taxes. And now what do our boy Tucker knows? That the intelligence is blackmailing the Senate and the Congress. Well, I don't know. Who are they afraid of? Being thrown in jail. The CIA don't throw you in jail. The FBI don't. You're prosecuted with the Department of Justice. I mean, who's going after Comey? Oh, the DOJ. We'll get into that.
And they screwed that up too.
Right. So in other words, Tucker's taking you to the door because you know he knows you're knocking on it, but he's not opening it. And the same thing with Musk.
That's what they all do. They all do that.
Musk turns around and says, if I tell you, what did I say? You want to audit something with this Doge bullshit? Audit the Senate and the Congress. Oh, no, we can't do that. In fact, Musk turns around and says, they'll kill him.
Yeah.
Tucker's taking you right to the door, but won't open it. I'm telling you who's in the door, behind the door. And if you didn't see those evidence lists, they turned around the recording of the Inspector General of the Treasury, those sealed envelopes, I'd be fucking dead. That's why all those other ones from Ticker, the settlements, came to me. That's why they used the kids. It's why also Epstein reached out to me on December 18th. He knew what the DOJ had.
Hang on, Epstein did not reach out to you.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you. Flynn did. Flynn, right.
Woo!
You keep watching me. So the thing here is, I was the insurance policy too. Remember, the game is blackmail. What did we find out from the CIA podcaster, Santelli? You'll be weaponized in Congress. Right. And then what did it Nino says? Well, I know he's hating us and doing this, but his evidence is important. They had to use it as blackmail. That's who Michelle Moore was. And guess what? That's why Michelle Moore's all her shit's taken down with me. Why? Because the DOJ's got her ass now. She was working with Flynn and the CIA and was going to get me smoked in Arizona. So now let's think. So what I'm telling you, Tucker knows
Oh yeah,
He knows.
he's
They
part.
all know.
He's part of it. He's trying to.
So,
He's trying to cover his own butt too.
well, this is where he does. I told you.
Yeah.
See, that's what they do. I told you so. No, you didn't. Your cowardly ass stopped at the door.
Yeah.
I had to open the door, and I've been opening the door. Think about this. All of what I've ever said, is it not true today? All of it? Have you figured it out now, the DOJ? Now, remember now, we're going to explain with the DOJ. So think about the timing of this, too. Let's throw that Keel in there, too. Who was
Who?
also Epstein, that
Oh, okay.
Peter Keel,
Peter.
was investing with billionaire and Epstein. They were investing together. And who's his? He is the mentor of J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance. Yeah.
These guys play a further game than you're playing. They turn around, give you goblins, and you fucking run for it. Now they're playing the long game. Something happens to Trump, Vance becomes president. There's Keel. And who was Keel's business partner?
Elon.
Elon Musk, who gave you Trump and the Epstein files. And the other day was at a party with Trump. How two-faced pieces of shit that is. But he lit the fuse. He's got his boy in place. And his boy is connected to Epstein. Why? Money laundering. These bastards don't like to pay taxes. So let me see now. We got Summers. We got Keel. Uh-oh. We got Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was stripped of his titles before it got that far, before they opened the Epstein files. What did he know that you didn't know? He knew that they were all in it. Now, here's the thing with opening. Now you got Trump saying, hey, go ahead and open them. After he didn't have the votes, pinheads. After the people who were voting not to open goes, we won't get reelected. They're going to know we're in a cover up. That's what you see in there. But you know what you're going to see next? Redaction. That was the one, follow the head. Now, this is the plan. You think you won. You're just on plan B. That was me at the hearing, catching the banking department. That video is on State of Corruption YouTube, which is the only reason why you see those is the DOJ is the one who's keeping them up. Their evidence that would incriminate them. That's why keeping this public and telling you really what's going on is what keeps me alive. You see that paper that's all black? I was showing that to the camera. They were reading from that. That black, every word on that paper was redacted. That was the evidence that they were using to protect themselves. They're not opening and auditing the banking department. There's the redaction game. Then you got Pam Bondi. She goes, we will follow the law. Did you see what happened the day before? Oh, we've got some new evidence.
Yeah.
Wow. So you know what that means? We're investigating. And while we're investigating, you can't see. There you go, plan B. Redaction, we're investigating. So let's explain the DOJ a little bit, all right? Because
You want to include this guy, don't you, with Epstein?
yeah, that's right. Thank you. Epstein's buddy, good friend, is Bannon. You know, the guy who took millions of your money for building a wall that his partner's in jail still. And that he's turned around in 2019, was trying to cover up and put a smokescreen for Epstein. How filthy and corrupt that is. And then as he's dealing with Trump, Bannon.
I mean, we know there's tapes. Why can't, where are they?
Well, you weren't supposed to see them.
Well, yeah, they told us about them. So.
But see, here's the point. The point is, these were Epstein's buddies, but it was money laundering. That's the big one. Are they pedophiles? Listen, did I give you the cover of the racing magazine? Do you have that?
Oh, for you?
Yeah. why I'm showing you that is I was in their world. I was the world champion of the sport of kings. I know how these bastards think from the inside. It's about breeding, their prejudice. They look at you like ants. The difference was I didn't come from money. I came from a bus driver and a handicap woman. I turned around. What did I curse? By moral conviction. Trust me, I didn't find any morality in horse racing. I didn't find it at the very top. The princes and the kings. I just found where I finished first. Second, third, fourth, and fifth, and the finalists for the world championship and earnings and wins were the crown princes of Saudi Arabia. That's how I played. Now think about this. What did I have? I had insight and moral conviction,
Yeah.
which is why I'm running out of fucking teeth. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. It took 20 years. You see this evidence that we built up? We wouldn't have had it. We've got it. And it's everything that you're seeing now. Now, so let's get into, remember now, the DOJ's path is Epstein. Surgically not get into the money laundering. All right. For instance, here's another piece of the money laundering. Trump hires this Ed Martin. Martin, the Justice Department, is investigating the handling of Adam Schiff with mortgage fraud, probed by Ed Martin and Bill Paluti. Now think about this. They're going after Schiff, Loretta James. You ready? For saying it was the principal residence rather than a second home. Okay. It's a quarter point difference. So if it's a 500,000, it's about $40. That's the big deal. Now let me give you the other side of this. You know what they could do? They could go after them with mortgage fraud. It would work on the Senate and the Congress. This is what you do. Not the second home. How much money do you make that you wrote down on that mortgage application? If you lied about your earnings, let me see, you make $174,000 a year and you got 40 million in the bank. Wait a minute. So why doesn't Trump's DOJ, Ed Martin, go after lying about your earnings? Because they're all corrupt that way. Again, surgical. Let's not get into the money, because if you get into money, you find out that the DOJ's been tracking this laundering network. That's the Secretary of the Treasury. That's the Inspector General of TIDCA. You get it? That's why Maxwell was in New Hampshire. She's leveraging them not as predators with their money. Where was the Pandora Papers dropped 935 billion? In New Hampshire. What did I find? That laundering network, Bill Shaheen, what was worth 50 million? That was. Okay, so we know what's possible. Now, let's take a look at this. We've got Halligan prosecuting Comey. The beauty queen? I mean, we get a lot of beauty queens in this bullshit, right? I mean, Kirk's wife, and I don't know if Patel, I mean, they weren't the best looking guys either. But let's just go with that. The beauty queen. No, I Googled that this morning. There's over 5,000 United States prosecutors for the Department of Justice. 5,000. And Trump couldn't get one of those to prosecute Comey. They had to use this pinhead who never prosecuted shit, wasn't in the Department of Justice. What? But it's very meaningful. This is the meeting. Surgical, the DOJ, here's what you got. You got Trump's DOJ with Bondi, Todd Blanche, his lawyer, Ed Martin, that clown. And this is a good time for that picture of Patel and Bongino. Okay, so now think about what they did. They couldn't get a lawyer, a prosecutor, even though the DOJ has 5,000 of them, to prosecute Comey. They got to use some nitwit that fucks up immediately by not giving the grand jury the whole case. Beautiful. Now, these Manson lamp pinheads then turn around and told you, I mean, Patel was telling you for years, I'm opening up the Epstein file. Bongino made millions telling you that, and that they killed him under Trump's watch, and who had motive. Now think about this. There is the division of the DOJ. Trump moves into the DOJ, puts his people that he trusts, whether they have experience or not. I mean, Bongino was a fucking podcaster, and the fact that he worked for the Secret Service doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy. So they turn around and control the top, which is why they can't get a prosecutor against Comey in 5,000. There's the division, and why Trump's people look like they may be lying to you. But see,
Yeah, kind of.
there's the institution of the DOJ. There's Trump people. Trump's guilty, and the reason why he's got to go, he's contagious. There's that word again. And again, watch the move it. Epstein connects to Trump and Maxwell for the predatories, but also the money laundering. Well, who hired Maxwell and Epstein? DOJ. That's the Mossad. That's what, when you get Tucker going, Mossad. Where do you think they came from? Who brought them in? Who brought O'Keefe in and sent them to me? You may remember I'm knocking on the DOJ's door at the time, the FBI with a fucking camera. They wouldn't go out. I held them hostage for 4 fucking hours. Brought a sandwich and a lounge chair to prove my point. But see, here's your division. And now the surgical. So that's what you're seeing. That's why they're not going after the real mortgage fraud as income, because that gets into money laundering. Epstein and Maxwell was protected by the Department of Justice. Now think about this. Who has all the evidence on Maxwell and Epstein? Oh, that's right, the DOJ. All that's been released didn't come from them. They're the ones who did the raids. It came from the estate of Epstein. So they're not even playing that game, and they're going to redact the shit out of that. So in other words, the DOJ had it. Now, Trump doesn't want it out either. It incriminates him. The DOJ saying, you're going to take us with you. We're cutting you out surgically. That's what you're seeing in the insurrection. That's why Trump turns around and goes to Maxwell. Club Fed.
Club Med.
Club Med.
Club Fed is more like it, but yeah.
Right. What do you think she has over them? That. All of a sudden she gets immunity, she's gone. That's the Epstein file. That's the move. Remember now, Epstein, insurrection. We'll keep going with the insurrection, but understand that move. There it is. That's why she's in this position. Nothing's out of line. Now, there's a division of the DOJ. Now, the DOJ doesn't want you to go after the cartel. Hit that. No, you know what? I'll wait for a second on that. I'm sorry. All right. So understand, there's where we are. There's a division. That's what you're seeing with the Department of Justice. Trump's Department of Justice at the top, the institution of Department of Justice. Now, they're all guilty. Republicans and Democrats, they're all guilty. The Senate and the Congress are all compromised, all leveraged by the DOJ using all those intel agencies. So Tucker's right about the intel agency, but he's got to point to who hired them. That's who hired them. And that's the surgicalness of this. All right. And that's the plan. Now, you know what, too? Here are the sealed letters. You have that. Remember, I told you that this is the most important evidence with the recording also of the Inspector General of the Treasury. This is the interception of 22 sealed letters from the IRS that Titka intercepted. Tom Morley, the ticket agent, turned around and used his brother, Curtis Morley, to intersect. Now, if you turn around and go to the second page of the DOJ evidence list, I believe it's number 7. Who's on there? The Department of Justice? Lullen got it? Hitka, Morley. You see? They own it. That's the money laundering. Why were they protecting that? Because the IRS, what did I say on that 50 million? The banking department, the banking commissioner, the Department of Revenue, the IRS. Wait a minute. That's everything that audits. Oh, wait a minute. Now Epstein connected with the Secretary of the Treasury. And I've got the Inspector General of the Treasury. That's good. See? So in other words,
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you the number 8. Who is I never heard you mention Chiara. It says
Chiara?
letter to Chiara, a video, unredacted report, emails, Chiara. Who's Chiara?
I can't see that.
It's at the top there. I might be pronouncing it wrong. I don't know. It says 12. It was correspondence between 12/29/17 to 2/7/18.
I think that was a connection he made. So that must be the information that I sent him that he sent internally. See, Lullen documented everything he sent.
Okay,
because he was afraid that he was going to get hooked with it, which is why you can see it on there. He sent it to the Attorney General of the United States and the Washington Bureau of the FBI. That's how important that is.
Okay.
All right. So there was the connection. Again, that's Epstein and Maxwell. Even the predators is secondary to the money laundering. What did I say? The money laundering gets them all. That's why you can't go there. That's why the DOJ is going, he's got to go. Okay? So know that is the principal fear of the Department of Justice. Okay. So let's turn around and go this. Hit those 2 screenshots on December 18th. Now let's take you now to the insurrection. Let's start it from the beginning. This is Flynn reaching out for me. As you see, December 18, 2020. This is the implementation of the insurrection. What happened prior to this was him falsifying Arizona. That's why Tina Peters in Colorado is so important.
The audit, you mean, right? He corrupted the audit.
Exactly corrupted. That's what it is. Now think about this. And then he asked for the settlement. The settlement is Bill Shaheen, but all that audits, including the IRS, all the evidence that the Department of Justice have, all the evidence that the Mossad and O'Keefe tried to destroy. Okay? So in other words, there's the insurrection, there's Flynn. And Flynn went through his podcasters. All those CIA podcasters are part of the insurrection. They're the ones that sent you to J6. That's O'Keefe. That's Alex Jones, who's connected to Shillman in the Mossad. That's those podcasters who were wrapping you up, selling you a Flynn coin and telling you that they were getting Flynn. It was bullshit. It was the plot that the DOJ had. Flynn was that instrument. As I said from the beginning, as I said on December 18th, and those 3 weeks later, I then went and showed you the evidence of the DOJ calling him out and saying it was an insurrection to the DOJ. Now you on the surface may go, he's going to the DOJ, knowing they're part of it. What are they going to do? I was incriminating them shitheads, which is why they've got a problem. Which is why Lullen gives it to the AG, because I incriminated his ass. Why did the top guy take it? Because the AG had to have it. Because they knew that was the door to the DOJ. That is why they have to hit Maxwell and Epstein surgically. That's why Trump's got to eat the predatory end of it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, can I add before you get too far ahead?
Yeah.
I wanted to say something when you just said on the surface. Now, don't call people shitheads, okay? But on the surface, people don't see what you see, okay? Or well, because you're kind of involved. But here, I want to just give you an example. No one understood when I said Nick Alvear, he was smoking a joint, okay, a doobie, because that was his role. And he got in trouble and he was getting others in trouble and he got a slap on the wrist and who knows what he got, if he even got in jail. But he raised money for his I guess lawyers. But the thing is that was his role. He was there for that purpose. He wasn't just there to demonstrate.
He was there to build a platform, to lie to you. He went from there to making movies, like Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
What I'm saying is people said to me, well, he got arrested. How could he be involved? I'm like, they throw one under the bus. They take one for the team. And that was his role.
They raided O'Keefe. They raided Flynn. You didn't see any of those guys go to jail. In fact, they made millions taking in for his legal expenses.
Right.
It was cover, people.
And that's
I'm trying not to say shitheads.
They're not seeing that. They're not looking. They're on the surface. So
they're on the surface because they were selling them reptilians,
right? And when I explained
and goblins
people,
and ship shapers, think about this. They all knew who I was. Flynn didn't just come to me. Alvear did too. Where did Alvear come through? Oh, Michelle Moore, who I keep telling you who she is. Now, what did Alvear had to disclose to me? Boone Cutler hired him, who suddenly did, I guess.
Yeah.
And that he was hired by Flynn and Special Ops. That's the CIA, folks. What did Michelle say after she turned around and defended Ariel? Ariel knows that Alvear is a CIA asset.
Yeah.
Hello? That's them covering for themselves.
Right.
So, and she took down that evidence of the brokered convention, of the confessions of Bush and Harris. So think about this. Now, you ready? They sold you on that. There's Alvear and there's Flynn. And all those podcasters have to go to jail. If they're trying to tag Trump with insurrection, Flynn's the implementer. Those podcasters, including Alvear and Ariel and all those, are the instrument. They were the instrument of inciting you. Hit the bus. Think about this. We had Flynn driving around in a bus with the minister of, what was that?
Ivan Raiklin, Mr. Retribution.
Right. I'm sorry, isn't that insurrection? He was out there trying to create a civil war. He was trying to say if Trump didn't get elected, they were armed and ready. That's the DOJ. And Smith had Trump lined up for court, which he would have been prosecuted for crimes other than insurrection. Meaning they would have used the insurrection. They prosecuted him on the other crimes that didn't use it. Jack Smith had him lined up. Wait a minute, 77 witnesses? What did Trump give immunity to? 77, remember? 10,000 to 1? Hello? Okay, that was the plan. That's Flynn. And then all of a sudden now, let's hit Flynn again. With the DOJ giving the pinhead 50 mil. Remember on my settlement for 50 million? Now they're going to give it to Flynn. Who did Flynn orchestrate the plan for, implement it? The DOJ. Who's going to keep Flynn to shut up? 50 mil. Who's going to be a key witness against Trump? Flynn. Wait a minute. What about Sidney Powell? She was in the room. I was working with her and Teresa. Alvear knew that too. Well, wait a minute. They gave her immunity. The DOJ and Trump. Well, wait a minute. Giuliani too. Now think about that.
Okay, real quick. You had that picture of Flynn. Now, if they use Flynn or if they pay him off and whatever, how are they going to implicate or how they won't take him down if they're going to.
He gets immunity. He gets 50 million. He gets paid off. And he testifies that he was working for Trump
Right.
and not the DOJ.
So Flynn is safe.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Here's the rule. Ready? This is a good time to put up Tina Peters. If I can put you in jail, I get out of jail. Tina Peters sitting back there going, hey, listen, boys and girls, President Trump demands immediate release of the Gold Star mother.
so we
Why?
still have her at play.
She is to the insurrection as Maxwell is into the money laundering and the predators.
Okay.
She is that. Remember? Insurrection, Epstein and Flynn. She is that. Now, listen, I've had multiple conversations with Tina Peters for hours, was on her show, was on her the meetings with Juan, and she's telling me, just like Mary Fanning was worried about her ass, do you notice they all come to me? Listen, it's mathematically impossible. You thought 10,000 to 1, 1,000,000,000 to 1. Mike, they're setting me up. You're right.
Right. And what if they pay her off to be quiet?
They're going to pay her off by first getting her out of jail. The question is, with all Trump's power and immunities, why is she still in jail? You know why? It's state and it's the DOJ that sat right on her. We've got more movement. You're going to love this. Let's hit the turning point leader. We've got a new witness, boys and girls. Now, only the meeting that I set up.
Who's the turning point? I don't know if I have that one.
Turning point leader, former Arizona GOP rep, pleads guilty to attempted election fraud. You don't have that one? That's okay. Wait a minute. Let's think about this. Turning point leader, working for Charlie Kirk. Could Kirk be assassinated because he found out about the insurrection or knew it? Where did I find out? I was in Arizona. Kirk's in Arizona. When I met Shelby Bush, it was at the Turning Point rally. Oh, okay. And then that next day, Bush and Harris confessed to the insurrection, along with the broker convention. This Turning Point leader, and this was just 2 days ago, former Arizona GOP, pleads guilty to attempted election fraud. Boy, it landed right on time. Remember movement? Now we got Tina Peters, and we got a GOP rep from Arizona, Maricopa County, pleading guilty to election fraud. Wow. Can you say, let's make a deal? And you know who's behind that election fraud? Flynn. Now you're going to think Flynn's going to get in trouble, but he's got immunity. The DOJ gave him $50 million, and he goes, Trump sent me. Oh, baby, there you go. That ties Trump into the insurrection. You find out Flynn. Now, if you're going to catch Flynn, a lot of people aren't going to like that Flynn turned around and set you all up. But you know what? 50 million is going to make Flynn feel better about it all.
Yeah.
You got it? And shut his ass up with the DOJ. I mean, can pieces of a puzzle fall to place better than this? See, there you go. All in the timing. There's Tina Peters. There's our GOP rep. There's Flynn getting paid off. Now, who else was involved in this insurrection? Our boy Patrick Burns. You remember? He was the one who was going to hang a judge with a piano wire in Tina Peters' case. Generally judges don't like that. But he ain't in jail. In fact, they gave Burns, because he's such a good piece of shit, a new job. He's out there saying intelligence insider Patrick Burns revealed the coming Monday, President Trump will officially have legal power to take out drug cartels. That we're national. Wait a minute. Our insurrection boy is an expert on drug cartels now?
Yeah.
Hit our DOJ list. I believe it's number 8. And what do we have there?
No, 8's that one that I asked you about. One.
Well, it's about the drug cartels, if you see that. Well, if you see Anna Goss, Cruz, and Griner, That is the largest American drug cartel in the country. They were partners with the Sinaloa cartel. So our boy Burns, who's an expert on that, I think it's the second page, and I
Yeah.
think it's the lower part. But understand this. What did I tell you the paths to the DOJ? Remember? Money laundering. Those were those letters. That's the recording of the inspector general. That's the drug cartel. Remember I said the easiest direct path to the cartel with Anagos and so forth? That's why all these arrests. Would we have another one in Fort Lauderdale? Coast Guard again. Listen, all these billions of dollars of drugs coming in, who's distributing them? Who's cleaning it? The money. Who's laundering? And there's your casinos. There's your turnaround and Anagos and your distribution centers. That's Planet Fitness. When they get off the boat, where'd they go? Seems like a reasonable question, right?
Yeah.
Why isn't anybody finding that out? Follow the drugs. Who's selling them? Who's cleaning it? Oh, then you find out the Treasury and the IRS is cleaning and laundering. Then you find out the casinos. They even control the goddamn the lottery. I mean, it's massive. Of all of what they see in corruption and steal and take and cheat you out, the equal side of that has to be the cleaning. We are looking for Mount Everest. Where is it? There it is. See, and now you got the same insurrection stooge Burns, who in that brokered convention, the confessions of Shelby, Bush, and Harris, Bush turns around and says she took $700,000 from Patrick Burns.
Right.
He's in on it. Burns sells her, and I called her stupid, on the tape. Listen to the tape when they give you the tape. And if you don't think that tape's out there, the DOJ has everybody in there, including Michelle Moore. That's McMahon. That's Stacy Burke. She gave her evidence to the J6 committee. You don't think Jack Smith's got that? Shut up. My evidence, too. I turned around and made that meeting. And what did they say? Burns was working with the FBI to set up Hillary Clinton. You can't be that stupid. And I think that's exactly how I phrased it to her. You can't be that stupid. The FBI and the DOJ protected the Clintons. Bill Shaheen was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. Who do you think was cleaning the money? These charitable foundations. Hello? That's Peter Thiel. You see? That's the connection with Summers and the Attorney General of the Treasury. You got it? That's the size of it. Our country is money laundering. So when those drugs are coming in, it's part of the process. Then distribution, then getting the money, then cleaning that money to the highest level of our government. Who's behind it? Who did that money blackmail and extort? The Senate and the Congress. It is 100% corrupt. And that is who you have voting of opening the Epstein files. Listen, you are never going to see all of them unless you turn around and expose the corruption of the Department of Justice. You can't take out corruption. This is what I learned in these years. You can't take out corruption unless you take out first what protects it. That's the Department of Justice. That's what controls your courts, which is why you always lose, which is why nobody goes to jail. Just Maxwell, and she's getting out. You see? How else could it be possible? But that's Patrick Burns. You understand? They're using the same team of insurrection to block, stopgap the cartels. Why? Because I showed you the evidence I gave the Department of Justice. I went to court with it. What took my money was the cartel. And I showed you the evidence of all those witnesses, even to the point of the hitman and the conversation about all of it. But the thing with the cartel is who protects them. That is the DOJ. Where did Bill Shaheen work? As a U.S. attorney for the Department of Justice. Hello? It was all connected. And it's that simple. And that's what we're looking at. There's the two paths. You've got the institution of the DOJ and you got Trump's DOJ at the top. They're both corrupt. Trump can't give you the money laundering because it's his money too. He turned around. What he's doing is putting pressure on them. That's him going after Comey and James and Schiff. Now, listen, they're all guilty, but he's still not going after their money because it leads back to the money. You just might say, let's audit the Senate and the Congress.
It leads back to his money.
It leads back to his money too. So when he threatened the Pandora's box, he knew exactly what it was. And I predict you hear Pandora's box again the minute he looks like he can't move forwards, when they got him in check. And you know what that translation is? If you're going to blow me up, I'm going to blow you up.
And you know, the funny thing that you said that, did you hear that fake audio that was going around that he was screaming about, if they take me out, I'm taking them down with me? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's funny because it's fake. It's fake, but it's what he would.
It's true.
It's what we do. Yeah, exactly.
It's why he said Pandora's box. When did he say that? Those indictments, him going to jail, particularly if he didn't win the election. When he won the election, the path became impeachment. Now let's take a look at this. You turn around and put the predatory tag on him, which he's guilty of, but not the money. That goes to us. You hit him with the insurrection and you flip Flynn and you pay him $50 million. Although he was your guy, but nobody can trust Flynn, which is why Lynn Wood would turn around and recorded Flynn.
Yeah.
It's why Lynn Wood just a few days ago and say, hey, listen, this insurrection, I think you're going to look at Maricopa County. You know, the guy the GOP who just got arrested for election fraud from Maricopa County. He's separating himself, even though they all ate Thanksgiving 2 weeks before the insurrection implication. See, but they're all pointing there. And why now? If Flynn's going to take a walk. Why Boone Cutler disappeared? Boone Cutler was working directly with Flynn. Boone Cutler was tied into, you know, guys like Elvire. What did he say? Who hired him? Boone Cutler for Flynn. Now, Charlie Kirk. Now, this is speculation. Everything I gave you, by the numbers. What if Kirk knew about the insurrection? His top guy knew about it, was involved in it.
Yeah.
I met Bush at Turning Point. Remember when I came out of that Turning Point rally, I said, man, they're all talking Flynn and O'Keefe. They were behind it. They were also behind the broker convention. What if Charlie Kirk knew that and was going to speak of the insurrection that would get that tie into, oh, I don't know, the DOJ? That'd be a reason to snuff him. The DOJ. It killed Epstein.
Or pay him off and make it look like he's snuffed.
Well, you know what?
That's speculation, of course, but
my belief is they did kill him because dead men tell no lies or the truth. Kirk, in the insurrection, may be Epstein and why he had to be murdered in the money laundering. The two paths have two assassinations. Bang and bang. And now this thing with the insurrection, again, the Turning Point guy will say Flynn. Flynn will say he's working with Trump. He'll get immunity. He'll get $50 million. And listen, when he was driving the truck around, you know what? I ran through AI with that. No charities, no donations. It was a registered business.
He was collecting money.
Millions. He sent you to jail and made millions. All they had to do was put me in check. Did not all those podcasters turn around and tell you I was the most important whistleblower in history and all? Listen, I am. They wanted to use me. If they had me, I was the blackmail piece. I turned around to keep them all out of jail by saying blackmailing the DOJ. I gave you the DOJ. I gave you Flynn and the CIA. Who turned on all these podcasters and told you who they were, each and every one? No one before me. Remember, I was subversive. They were
Subversive.
threatening to kill me, right? You know who Michelle Mole was? She was that mole. She was that spy. She's the one who sent me to Arizona to set up for me to be murdered. What saved my life with that brokered convention at the same time that brokered convention saved Trump. See, that's what happened. And that's why after the election, they reached out. That's why Stacy Burke never sent that video out or the recording after the meeting. Why? Why was she more descriptive afterwards? Because she is a DOJ witness. You see these people with Flynn and Trump know this and say, well, they're divided on the podcast. Ready? By going supporting Flynn like Nino gets Trump. Flynn's gonna turn on Trump. See? By turning around and saying Trump, they turn around and say, well, he's a predator. You see? Either way, the plan was Trump. Now, why was it that way? Because it was always the DOJ. Who did the CIA answer to? Who did Defense Intelligence answer to? The Department of Justice. Have we not seen that now with Trump? Trump's going to hire the beauty queen Halligan to prosecute Comey, who never prosecuted anybody. And yet there's 5,000 prosecutors. That 5,000 is the representation of the institution of the Department of Justice. Now, it's filthy and corrupt, which is why they're doing the same insurrection team like Patrick Burns and trying to sell you. They're going after the cartels. The deal is they're working with the Chinese and they're making the fentanyl here. The distribution will be the same, money laundering the same, the profits will be better, and you cut out the connection with the cartels. Bang, Mexican cartels, Sinaloa cartels. Now, I gave you Anagos. You get Anagos, you run his real arrest record. They were all screwed. I gave you the doors in. Maxwell winds up in New Hampshire. Well, you could go anywhere in the world there and winds up with Shaheen on my 50 million. Winds up with Lullen, who I gave the evidence to. Let's see the odds. Oh, that's right. Can't happen. Can't happen. And I'm tied to O'Keefe and Flynn. I'm telling you, the brokered convention, the insurrection. Now that's a miracle. And this thing with the economy, that's the next hammer, boys and girls, because the economy, even more than the Epstein files, is going to sink Trump. They just turned around and said, look, we got 112,000 jobs. What's a miracle? They turned around and said, you're going to have negative. I mean, it was a crumb. It was terrible. Rates went up.
I just saw today on somewhere that the highest, the cars, it hit 50,000 base, like that's the price of cars now for a new car. And that's the highest it's ever been for a new car. Like 50,000, it hit that.
That's inflation.
Yeah.
That's the risk of your money. That's the big lie. Think about this. Trump's out there saying, listen, he's trying to tell you that food prices are going down. Listen, if you don't have to eat, then maybe you believe that horse shit. We made 17 trillion. Biden only made 1. Well, if we made 17 trillion, why are we at from 36 to 37 to 38 trillion in debt? Where'd the money go? Oh, I know. The big, beautiful bill. It went to the billionaires, the trillions, the stealing. So you got the economy is going to hit you in the head. In fact, if you watch the polls, what is the biggest concern with the people? The economy. And what's the Trump's approval rate there? Was it 38?
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So you got the insurrection. You've got Maxwell and Epstein, and you got the economy. How's the midterms going to go? Can you say impeachment? That's the plan. That's the DOJ, and it's surgically done. Don't get the money laundering. Don't get the protection network. And all they got left is me. I am that witness. Here's the other lie. You ready? 2,000 people are going to watch this. Horse shit. People wonder, oh, they're not seeing Mike. Oh, yes, they are. The DOJ, I am their number one concern. Who turns around and gets Epstein and Maxwell? Who turns around and gets the insurrection, the cartels? Who gave the evidence to the DOJ? Who sent an army to stop me? An army for years. When we turned around and called those minions of spies, did they not show you who they were? They went from saying, hey, he's great, to giving up my location or trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, hello? Who sent them? Who paid them? It's the Department of Justice. It involved O'Keefe and Day because they were involved and contagious to the DOJ. All of it. All Flynn's people turned around when I wouldn't flip. That's when Michelle and Elvira's plan then was to have me murdered. That's why Matthew Tuckeroni, on the very day I'm going there for the cartel, that's who they were going to say. Sinaloa cartel took them out. See? And it was a pretty good plan.
Yeah.
And it got me there. But I went to the brokerage convention and got them all, including the DOJ, everybody. So if you don't think, I'll tell you what, O'Keefe knew who I was. Flynn knew I. Listen, there's 335 million of you from the Oval Office. They're reaching out to me. So out of 335 million, the concern was with me, not just with Flynn. But wait a minute, who was Flynn working with? Oh, with the DOJ. Who could turn around and get us all? Gil. There you go. And you know why my numbers don't move on anything? Because we are being controlled. We are being watched. I can't tell me how many real people are really watching this. I'm hoping some.
Yeah.
We are documenting everything. This isn't about numbers. This is about getting that truth out there. It's about telling you what's going on and documenting it. It was these videos that saved my life. You see back 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, going to the FBI, that saved my life. And it's saving my life now. What happened recently, them threatening me, that came from Fanning. Why? Fanning was turning around and her husband represented the sale of Dominion to the Republicans. If you were going to cover up the insurrection, you may want to take them out. Why? Because they took your depositions, like Giuliani, like Powell. We're going to shut that down. That's a concern. See, that's another move on the board. But who would give them immunity? The DOJ. Who's going to say again? Flynn. That's the 77 witnesses that Trump gave immunity to. Now let's think about this. Who's got a job with Trump's administration of those 77 people? Giuliani's got some kind of symbolist job. None of them. Nobody. But Raiklan, you got a job? Flynn got a job? Now, why is that? They were behind Trump. Remember, they drew the army. They marched to the J6. None of them got a job. They're contagious. They're working with the CIA. Who works for? The DOJ. You know who knows that now? Trump knows that now. He didn't give Flynn a job. Everybody's looking, why didn't he get a job? Well, how's that for a job? He does have a job. To sink Trump. You don't think he got immunity from Jack Smith? Of course he did. You know who else gave immunity? Smith did too. And Trump? Mark Meadows, who was only the chief of staff. He's going to turn on Trump too. And you don't have to hear it in court. You're going to hear it in Congress. That's why Jack Smith's going, I want to talk in Congress. And then Trump's going, uh-oh. See? They're mismoving these pieces. And if you think you can control the DOJ from Patel and Bondi and Blanche, what did Blanche go to interview Maxwell? You get 5,000 U.S. attorneys. He used Trump's personal attorney. Bondi's the one who let Epstein go in the first place.
Yeah.
Who the hell was Bongino? He was a podcaster who made millions telling you he's going to open the files. So did Patel. What's the first thing they did? Epstein killed himself, nothing in the files. Are you buying that? And then what did Martin and Blanche do? Threaten the insiders from the DOJ. That's Comey. Now listen, they're all guilty. they're not going for the money. Listen, with the mortgages, hey, you got 174,000 down here, you got $30 million. Let's call in the IRS. Now, the IRS would cover the arrest this whole time. We might have a problem now, boys and girls, once we tell them. Listen, isn't it funny? Shaheen goes out the door, retires. Pelosi does. What'd they say Pelosi had? Like 275 million?
Yeah.
Why don't we ask her? And listen, what you see they have, from insider trading and stuff, it's a fraction.
Right.
That's the Pandora Papers. That's the dark money and the payoff from foreign governments, which is why Warren is around going to other countries. He's the bag man. Now it comes into the Pandora Papers and it goes into, Congress and the Senate, which is why you never can talk about money. And they're all protected by the DOJ, protected to do what they want because they can make them blackmail them and put them in jail. You were asking what Biden was. Biden was a crook for 40 years. Who do you think could put him into jail and control them? Who was running the country if Biden could? The same DOJ. The same thing with Clinton. You didn't know the Clintons were crooks? Who protected Clintons in Evergreen? Child trafficking. 80. Oh, that's right. General Flynn. That's Brummel. That's Mary Fanning. That's Vandersteel. This is the depth of this evil. And why you see him on the drugs, why you see him on the money laundering, why you see them, the trafficking, because they're so deep and dark in this corruption. It's who they trust. When you turn around, the mafia didn't make you unless you killed somebody. It's the same methodology. Okay. Just know this. No one's telling you the truth. Epstein, Maxwell, the path of the predators, it's really money laundering of DOJ. The insurrection, Trump went with it. It was the DOJ's trap. And that's General Flynn. And Flynn was driving the bus.
Yep.
Geez, that might have been the title. Okay, Kresh.
Okay. See you, Mike.